Good morning, boys and girls. Welcome to Sunday School. This morning we'll be starting Sunday School with some songs. Oh, be careful, little eyes, what you see. Oh, be careful, little eyes, what you see. For the Father up above is looking down in love. Oh, be careful, little eyes, what you see. Oh, be careful, little ears, what you hear. Oh, be careful, little ears, what you hear. For the Father up above is looking down in love. Oh, be careful, little ears, what you hear. Oh, be careful, little tongue, what you say. Oh, be careful, little tongue, what you say. For the Father up above is looking down in love. Oh, be careful, little tongue, what you say. Be careful, little ears, what you do. Oh, be careful, little hands, what you do. For the Father up above is looking down in love. Oh, be careful, little hands, what you do. Oh, be careful, little feet, where you go. Oh, be careful, little feet, where you go. For the Father up above is looking down in love. Oh, be careful, little feet, where you go. O-B-E-Y, obey always. O-B-E-Y, obey now. O-B-E-Y, obey always. O-B-E-Y, obey now. Obey Jesus, obey Father, obey Mother, teacher too. O-B-E-Y, obey always. O-B-E-Y, obey now. O-B-E-Y, obey always. O-B-E-Y, obey now. O-B-E-Y, obey always. O-B-E-Y, obey now. Obey Jesus, obey Father, obey Mother, teacher too. O-B-E-Y, obey always. O-B-E-Y, obey now. O-B-E-Y, obey always. O-B-E-Y, obey now. O-B-E-Y, obey always. O-B-E-Y, obey now. Obey Jesus, obey Father, obey Mother, teacher too. O-B-E-Y, obey always. O-B-E-Y, obey now. O-B-E-Y, obey always. O-B-E-Y, obey now. Obedience is the very best way to show that you believe. Doing exactly what the Lord commands, doing it happily. Action is the key, do it immediately. Joy you will receive. Obedience is the very best way to show that you believe. O-B-E-D-R-E-N-C-E. Obedience is the very best way to show that you believe.
We want to live pure, we want to live clean, we want to do our best. Sweetly submitting to authority, leaving to God the rest.
Walking in the light,
Keeping our attitudes right on the narrow way. For if we believe the word we receive, we always will obey.
O-B-E-D-I Good morning, boys and girls. Today we're going to talk about something that was an answer to prayer. How many of you have asked God something through prayer and the Lord's given it to you? Well, today we're going to talk about the boy named Samuel and how the Lord answered the mother of Samuel's, Hannah's prayer by giving her a child. So each and every single year the Israelites would go as a custom. They would go to the tabernacle in Shiloh. And this family in particular we're going to talk about today, the husband's name was Elkanah, and he had 2 wives. One wife's name was Peninnah, and the other was named Hannah. Now Peninnah, she had many children, and Hannah had no children. And it was often that Peninnah would laugh at Hannah, and she did not like her at all. She would tease Hannah and make fun of her because she didn't have a baby. And Hannah would be often very sad because of that. And so one time while they were traveling to Shiloh, Hannah decided to go alone to the tabernacle to ask God for something. She asked God to give her a child. So she went very early in the morning, and she got down on her knees, and she asked God to give her a child. And she said, "O Lord, if thou wilt look down upon my sorrows and will grant me a child, then will he serve you for all the days of their life." And so the high priest Eli saw her mouthing her prayer to the Lord, and saw her crying, and thought that she might have been drunk, and said, "O woman, why art thou drunk?" And she said, "I have not been drunk, my Lord. I have been just pouring out my heart before the Lord, in asking that the Lord would give me a child." And so Eli told her, "The Lord will grant you what you desire." And so very soon after that, after they traveled back, Hannah found out that she was having a baby. And so now she has a child, and she named the child Samuel, because his name means asked of God. And she said now that she was going to take care of the child. So a year passes by, and it's time for the family to go back to the Shiloh, to the tabernacle. And Hannah decided to stay back with the young child Samuel because he needed to grow. And he was still very young at the time. He was probably about a year old at this point in time. And so she decided to stay back and to raise him and teach him to learn to obey and learn to teach him how to be good and teach him all the things that he needed to learn. I'm sure you remember me saying that when Hannah was at the tabernacle, she said that her child would serve God for the rest of his life. And so Hannah decided that now, if years have passed, that she decided to take him back to the tabernacle in Shiloh and to let him work in the tabernacle so that way he could learn to work for the Lord and work for his ministry. And so she decided to take him to the high priest Eli and to have him work with him while he was there at that time so he could learn to serve God and obey. And so now many of you are probably wondering, what were some jobs that Samuel had while he was working at the tabernacle? Well, a few of those jobs that he might have had were polishing the silver and the gold, and he would often sweep the floors. He would make sure every metal there was polished and make sure everything looked good. Probably also cleaned out the offering, probably cleaned up for the sacrifices there as well. But any job that Eli asked Samuel to do, he did it with a happy and a willing heart, and he did it very quickly as well. So now the high priest Eli had 2 sons. Their names were Hophni and Phinehas. Now, these 2 boys were one of the most baddest people you could ever think of. They were so evil and wicked. They would laugh at people, and they would scorn those that wanted to do what was right. And those that wanted to ask God to forgive them from their sins by making sacrifices, they would laugh and tease them for it. And they would often make them feel very uncomfortable for doing what the Lord has commanded them to do. And so very soon we will see what will happen because of their wickedness. So I'm sure if you're about 6 or 7, I'm sure you could imagine being really tired from cleaning and mopping the floors. So little Samuel he had been working all day long, and it was time for him to go to bed. So he did everything that he normally did before bed. And it just so happened that on this night, something very unusual happened. Samuel got his blanket on and lay down and just closed his eyes and had just gone to sleep. When somewhere out of the blue, the Lord decided to send a message to Samuel, and he said, "Samuel, Samuel," and Samuel sat up quickly and thought it was Eli talking, and so he ran from his bed and ran to Eli's bedroom and said, "Eli, Eli, did you call me?" And Eli said, No, son, go to bed." And so Eli went back to sleep, and Samuel ran back to his room, got his blanket on, fell asleep, and again for the second time, the Lord called unto Samuel and said, "Samuel, Samuel." And so Samuel got up and thought it was Eli again asking him to do something. And so he got up from bed quickly and ran to Eli's room and said, "Eli, Eli, did you call me?" And Eli said, "No, son, I didn't call you. Go back to bed." And so Eli fell back asleep, and Samuel ran back to his room, got his blanket on, and just fell asleep. For the last and final time, the Lord sent a message and said, "Samuel, Samuel." So Samuel sat up and decided and figured out by now that this was something really important. This must be God talking. And the Lord said unto Samuel, and Samuel said back to the Lord, he said, "Speak, Lord, for thy servant heareth." And so the Lord told Samuel a very sad message. He told him that Eli and his 2 sons were going to die because of their wickedness. I'm sure you could imagine, boys and girls, getting that message, knowing that somebody you love and work with is going to die. That must be very sad. Lots of people are dying right now. So I'm sure that would be very sad for you to know. So Samuel falls back asleep, and Eli's already in bed asleep, and it's morning now, and so they wake up. And so before the day of work, Samuel goes over to Eli and says, "Eli, I got a message from the Lord last night, and I found out what that was all about." And he told Eli the sad news that he was going to die, and his 2 sons as well. So now we go forward a few more years, and now Samuel is an old man, and he has found favor with God for the obedience that he learned when he was a young child. So Samuel became a really good, important person in Israel's history. He was a judge, and he was also the one that anointed King David of Israel. I'm sure you could imagine what an honor that would be to anoint someone that God has chosen to rule that nation. That would almost be as if someone got to be the honor. It would be like you getting to anoint someone and show people that this is the person that God has chosen, almost anointing the president. That's a big job. So what they would do when they would anoint is they would have a vessel of oil, and they would pour it over the person's head that the Lord has chosen for them to rule that nation. So it would almost be as if a person like you would get to anoint the person, like our president, and show people this is the person God has chosen for our nation. But that was just one little thing that Samuel got to do for his obedience at a young age. And as we see now in 1 Samuel chapter 2, verse 26, it says, "And the child Samuel grew on, and was found in favor both with the Lord and also with men." Now Samuel, because of his obedience, he found favor with God. And if you, boys and girls, will learn to obey God and obey what he says to do, then you will find favor with him, and God will reward you and honor you for that. Not only did Samuel grow in favor with the Lord, but he grew in favor with people as well. Lots of people liked Samuel because he was a godly man who learned to obey God, learned to listen to his call when he was a very young boy. And just like that, the Lord is calling you to be good boys and girls for Jesus and to tell others about Jesus Christ. And in John 3:16, we see in the verse it says, "For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life." And you boys and girls can be an encouragement. And all of you out there, you could probably text your friends and tell them John 3:16. Tell them that God loves them and he wants them to obey him. And the Lord will ultimately honor you and respect you and obey and reward you for that. So I hope that you will learn from this lesson that you will need to obey God, and the Lord will ultimately bless you for it.
Our craft for Sunday school is this cute little springtime chick, and the things that you need to make that would be some yellow paint, some googly eyes. I took an orange piece of construction paper and cut a little triangle for his beak, and then a marker for his feet. And the way that you do that is you take a fork and you dip it in the paint like this, and you'll start in the middle of your paper like this, and then you want to make a big X with your fork so it looks like that. So I crisscrossed it, and then you'll just work your way out from there until your chick is the right size. And so you'll keep working in a circle until he looks like this. And when he dries, then you would go ahead and glue on the eyes and the beak and then draw in his little feet. And that's what our craft is for Sunday school today. Our snack for today is a springtime Chex Mix. And what I have some white chocolate chips, a cup of it, melted in this bowl. And I melted it in the microwave for a minute. And I'm going to put a half a stick of butter in with that white chocolate. And just stir that around until the butter is mixed in with the white chocolate. And then I have a cup of peanut butter that we're going to put in there. This is the smooth kind. I was also thinking that Nutella or cookie butter would be really delicious in this too. And we'll stir the white chocolate and the peanut butter and the butter till it's all mixed up. And it looks like this. Doesn't that look delicious? Well, then we put a teaspoon of vanilla in there. And we'll stir that around until it's mixed up. And I like this snack because you don't have to cook it on the stove. You just have to warm it up in the microwave. So it's really smooth and it's able to be poured. And so I'm going to take some Chex Mix. This is rice Chex Mix. And I'm going to pour the peanut butter white chocolate on top of the Chex Mix right into the Ziploc baggie. Once you do that, your children can help you with the next part. You guys want to help me shake it up, mix it up? I'll have Hannah come over, or Brent. Brent can come on over. Can you shake that up and mix it all up? You want to get it all over the Chex Mix. So move it around, shake it up. You want to see that all of the Chex Mix is coated. So we'll keep mixing it up just a little bit. Okay, we're going to pour it out in this bowl right here. And the Chex Mix will be a little bit sticky at this point. It's got the white chocolate and the peanut butter on it. And we'll continue stirring it just for a second just to make sure it's all coated. And then in this I have 2 cups of powdered sugar. And this is what we're going to coat the Chex Mix in. So we can dump that in right here. And this will help it not to be quite so sticky. Some people call this puppy chow, and you can make it with white chocolate chips like we did for the spring one, or you can do it with regular chocolate chips or dark chocolate chips depending on what you like. Or we even talked about our mix-in could be Nutella or the cookie butter that some people like. So now that we've mixed it all up, and the Chex Mix is coated, our last step is we're going to add some M&Ms to make it our springtime mix. So we're going to pour our M&Ms right into the bowl. And this is what our springtime Chex Mix looks like.